Now, family, I have a question for you. Have you ever dated anyone offline? Have you ever started a relationship with someone that you met on a dating website? And if you did, how did it work out? Did it end well or did it end in turmoil? Talk to me in the comment section. I would love to know, because that is what this one is about today. This young lady right here, she is not a Jamaican, but she met a Jamaican online and started to communicate with him. Eventually, she decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to fly down to Jamaica and visit this person because he seems to be such a nice person. He was pursuing her for quite a while, right? Even though at first she was not interested, according to her, but because he was so persistent and, he would check up on her to make sure she ate throughout the day, he would ask her how was work, how was her day, stuff like that. She felt like he was a genuine man who cared, and she even compared it to her past relationships and felt like, yo, this man is different. She went down, met with him, and it was alright, but a lot of things happened. I'm not gonna tell you, I'm gonna be gonna hear for yourself. So this is another Unstoppable recap. If you missed it, this is your recap right here where you can catch up on what you missed. And if you like what you hear, you can go on over to the live channel and listen to the whole thing. But listen to what was shared.
So my story starts online. So one day I'm with my friend, and my friend was like, "Why don't you sign up for an online account and try to see how it is dating online?" I never did it before, and I was like side eyeing the whole thing. So I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. So I set up an online account. So I set up the online account, and I started not to see anybody that I liked, but I seen this guy, and he kept popping up, and it kept on saying that we was compatible. And I was like, he's not my type. So I started looking on his pictures, and I see that he's from Jamaica. And he was cute. So I was like, you know what? He keeps popping up all the time. So let me go in his inbox and just say hi. So I go in his inbox and I say hi. And that started it. We started talking every day, all day. I had two jobs. I was working two jobs at the time. My one job that I had, I can basically, it was real laid back, so I can talk to him. And we talk all day, every day. And I couldn't understand while talking to him, because he seemed like a real sweet guy, how he couldn't find nobody in Jamaica. And I'm like, you are such a nice guy. You'll find somebody in Jamaica. And then he was telling me, like, you're a nice girl. You'll find somebody in the US. And one day, after saying that, I was like, he's perfect for me. And he just checked off all the boxes. Even though he wasn't quite my type, he checked off all the boxes. And I was like, you know what? His heart is pure. I want to see where this goes. And I started really falling for him, and he started falling for me. So I started asking him questions. First, I wanted to ask him questions about his past relationships. So I asked him a question about his past relationship and why he couldn't really seem to have a girlfriend. And he told me that all his girlfriends he had cheated on him. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. He looks good and everything, and he seems really nice. Why is everybody cheating on him? And he says that some of the relationships he had, they got into a bad argument, and they just never talked to him no more. And I'm like, that's dumb. I mean, we have it's not human nature to argue all the time. So why is nobody talking to you? And he was like, well, I guess they just move on real fast. And he told me that he had a little bit of a temper. He could be a little bit on high head sometimes. And I'm a nice person, and I have a good head on my shoulders. And I'm like, I'm not going to ever push him to that point. He told me that he had a temper when people talk to him like he's stupid. And I'm like, I'm not going to talk to you like you're dumb. So we kept talking, and eventually I said, you know what? I got to see if we're going to hit it off, because we have so many things in common. And now in this age, I'm tired of these one a day texter, man. He was so consistent. Every time I text him, bam, he was replying back. He was also asking me how was I doing, asking me if I ate. Sometimes he can hear my voice if I was tired, and he was like, oh, my baby's tired. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Let me see if we hit it off. So I booked a flight to Jamaica, to Mobe, and I was going to meet him and see if we hit it off. So fast forward to that, I meet up with him, and he really didn't have any money. So I knew I was going to be paying for everything on the trip. And I didn't mind. If he was cool and we were going to hit it off, I didn't really mind. So I paid for everything on the trip. I brought him some shoes and some clothes down from America. And other than that, we hit it off. We went to the beach. He showed me around Mobe. It was beautiful. We connected. But there's one red flag that came up. I was getting souvenirs for family members back home. And we went to one store and the man knew him. And I was like, this man know you. How you know the man? And he was like, well, I've been here he was like, the last time I've been here was 2 years ago. I guess I have a memorable face. And when I was shopping around, I noticed they were off to the side talking. And I took a mental note of that, but I was like, okay, whatever. And I kind of like threw it to the side. I seen that when we take pictures, he wouldn't really smile. He didn't look pretty happy with me. And I was like, and I kind of threw that to the side. I was like, well, maybe he just don't like to smile. But
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I look back and I was like, there's something wrong with that. He wouldn't and he wouldn't. We were friends on Facebook, and he wouldn't share none of the pictures on his Facebook. He made me. He said that I could share the pictures on my page, but he wouldn't do it. And I was like, why don't you put some of the pictures on your page? And he was like, I don't want nobody in my business. I don't want nobody in my business. So we hit it off. We go to the airport. We're both crying because I really don't want to leave him. I had such a connection with him. He was so consistent. He was a gentleman. He was just everything that I imagined him to be from talking to him on WhatsApp and on the internet. So I go home and he tells me, I'm in love with you. And he said, God told me that you're my wife. And he was kind of hinting on that before I came down here. Before I came down there, he
Mm-hmm.
was like, I have something to tell you once you get down here. And he was like, I have strong feelings for you. And I'm just going to wait till you get down here so I can tell you. I felt the same way about him.
Okay.
I felt the same way about him too.
So it was all natural. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So it was all natural until he starts saying that, God showed me that you're my wife. And he was like, there's some men who wait a lifetime and wait years. But, after you left, I'm missing you. And God told me that you're my wife. And he to find a man to find a wife, find a good thing. And you are my good thing. You are beyond any woman that I ever met. And I was like, whoa, this is really fast. And he was like, I don't have time to be sitting here waiting. He was like, I know you love me too. And I know you be thinking about marriage and stuff and marrying someone. And he was like, I know that you love me. I can just see it in your face that you want to marry me. And he said, just think about it for a day or two, or just think
Mm.
about it for a day or two and just let me know what you think. And, he let me go and he let me really think about it. And I thought about like my past relationships
Mm-hmm.
and they really sucked. And I got cheated on. And
Mm-hmm.
it really sucked. And I remember how this man made me feel in 5 days and talking to him and how consistent he was. And he made me feel wanted and he validated me in every aspect of the way. Every day, consistent. He knew my schedule. He knew once I'm working the first job, I can talk to him. The second job, I couldn't really have my phone, but
Mm-hmm.
it continued. Some days, I was kind of like falling back, and he would be like, "Wait a minute." He was like, "Is there something wrong?" Because we talk all the time. I gotta hear your voice. I want to hear your voice. You're everything to me. My day was bad. Just listening to your voice makes my day all right. I need to
Mm.
hear you. So I agree. I agreed to. I was like, you know what? I feel the same way. I said, this is moving a little too fast, but you know what? You showed me a love stronger than I ever felt in my whole entire life. And, I want to marry you too. But I told him I want to do a K1 visa. And he was like, absolutely not. I don't want to do the K1 visa. And I was like, why not? I want to get to know what I'm getting into. And he sweet talked me out of it. It took him a whole month to sweet talk me out of it. He talked me out of doing it, and I was like, okay, sure, we can get married. So he said, I want to do things right. I want to propose to you. I said, okay, that sounds cool. But he was like, I have a problem. You know my situation. I don't have no job. So you're going to have to buy your ring. And he said, but it's just going to be temporarily because when I get to America, what's going to happen is I'm going to propose to you again and we're going to have this great big wedding.
Wait,
He said, I'm going to
I
have a job. I'll be able to get a job and we're going to
don't.
have a great big wedding. I know exactly how this sounds, but I have to tell the story exactly how it was. I went and I brought my own engagement ring. I didn't buy nothing too expensive, just something that looked decent on the hand. And I booked my flight to go back to Jamaica. So I got to Jamaica. Oh yeah, let me back up. So I sent him $300 American money, and I said, "Baby," I said, "Go ahead and reserve a hotel for us." I get there, and we're in his apartment, and I'm like, "What happened to the money I gave you? Because we're not supposed to be here in your apartment. We're supposed to be at a hotel." And he was like, well, I used it for bills and I used it to get a mop and stuff. And I'm like, a mop don't cost 300 US dollars. What happened to the money? And he was like, well, things came up and I needed to get clothes and all that stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to ruin the trip, but, let's just go on. So we stay in his apartment. Um, we ended up going to Mobe again because he lives somewhere on the other side of the hour. So we end up going to Mobe. So I give him the ring once we go to Mobe, and I said, "Here's the ring." And I said, propose to me somewhere nice, of course, because he wanted to do that. And I said, "Just pick somewhere nice." So, I get ready. We're about to go to this restaurant. And in my head, I was like, okay, he's going to either propose to me at this restaurant or maybe at the beach. So we're going out, and some of the staff is outside. And do you know he got down on his knees and he proposed to me in front of the hotel staff? And I could have levitated. I really could have. I was like, "What? What is happening?" And he proposed to me in front of the hotel staff. I noticed two of the girls, they knew me because I came to the host. We had an incident in a hotel where we was chasing a lizard out of our room, out the room. So they recognized me and they were like, "Go ahead, girl." But I noticed two of the hotel maids, they were in the back room laughing. And I noticed that and I was like, what is happening? So I didn't want to embarrass him. I went ahead and said yeah. And they took a few pictures. And deep inside, I was like, this is not how I imagined this to happen. This is not how I imagined this to happen. Um, so I asked him, I said, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you do it in front of a restaurant? And he said he didn't want people in his business. And he told me I was not supposed to put the pictures on Facebook. He wanted it to remain private until he got to America, and then he would share the pictures. And I went with the okie doke. So I went back to America, and I still had a good time with him. He was never mean to me or nothing. We still had a good time. I went back to America, and still we were talking consistently. And we had an incident that came up where I got to see his temper. I get home from work late at night and I tell him, babe, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. So I wake up in the morning and I see that I have like I have all these Facebook messages. I have all these WhatsApp messages. I have him talking like voice notes and everything. So I was like, oh, my baby thinking about me. So I go on there and I see where he said, oh, so you're up at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, no, I was asleep. And I go through each and every messages and he's starting to get more aggressive. And he's like, why are you ignoring me? I know you're up. I see you active on Facebook. I see you active on WhatsApp. Why aren't you answering me? So you're talking to some other nigga. And then he started getting more aggressive and one of the voice notes, he was screaming at me, like, you're a liar, B. You're a liar, B. You're a bitch. You're just like the others. And you're lying to me. And I see that you're active and you ignoring me. So I get on and I'm like, what is this? And he was like, I seen that you were active, and you're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. You lying. You lying. And I was like, I didn't even get to really say nothing. He's screaming and he's hollering. And I remember saying, it's over. I don't want anything to do with you. It's over. I said, first of all, I was asleep. And I said, when you're in America, I think it remains active unless you turn it off. And I don't know nothing about that. And then he started screaming at me, and I said, it's over. I don't want nothing to do with it. I go on with the rest of my day. I was really sad, but I went on with the rest of my day. He calls me on my lunch break, and he's crying. And he was like, I'm so sorry, baby. He was like, my temper. And he was like, I thought you were playing me. And my past relationships, and I thought you were playing me. And he was like, I really want you. And he was like, you don't want nothing to do with me, just tell me, and I'll just erase you from my whole history, and I'll erase all the pictures. But if you believe in love, he is like, I can fix myself. I'll pray and I can fix myself. Just give me another chance if you see it in your heart. And I was like, I gotta think about it. And I started thinking about the good times we had and how he treated me better than any other man in my whole entire life. And I said, you know what, I'll give you another chance. And he said, but you gotta say that you seen all my messages and you were active. And I was like, but I wasn't. I was really asleep. And he was like, if you just say that, that's all you got to do. Just say those words. Just say that. And he was like, we can just forget about it. And I was so broken at that point. I said, I was active. And that started the foundation of what I'm going to get into later. So we started back up again, and I started sending him all this whole time I was taking care of him, basically sending him money through Western Union. And that started back up again, and we started talking again. And then it was time for me to go back to Jamaica so we can, start planning the wedding and getting married. So I went back to Jamaica, and his friends, I gave him more money so he can get us a hotel. And I was like, this time, get us for real. Don't waste the money. Get us into a nice hotel. So when I tell you, we pulled up to the hotel and I immediately levitated off the cab. It was like one of those boarding rooms, and I don't know what you call. I forget what you call those in Jamaica. It's like it's not even a hotel. It's like a whole bunch of rooms, and it's like a bed, a TV, a fan, and like a real little space that you can shower. And I'm like, what happened to the money I gave you? Because this is not no hotel. So later on, we go throughout our day, doing errands. We're sitting in the room, chilling. So I asked him before he leave. I said, "Can you get me something from downstairs from the restaurant because I'm hungry? I mean, I only had a chicken leg." He looks at me and he said, "Bomba Clyde," and he looks at me and he said, "I'm not getting you nothing." Basically, I'm not even gonna try to ask him, but he was like, I'm not getting you nothing." And he was like, "You already ate," and I was like, "I'm hungry. I only had a leg, and it been 7 hours." And he said, "I'm not getting you nothing. Every time you come here, you've been getting bigger and bigger and bigger." And he was like, "And it wouldn't hurt you to miss a meal, and I'm not getting you nothing." And he he walked out the room and slammed the door. And all I can do is just sit there and cry because he really did something to me. Just tears start flowing through my eyes. Now I was just really, really hurt and flabbergasted. Like, what? So he comes back up in the room and he takes a bag of crackers and he throws them at me and he said, "Here." And he said, "Don't leave this room." And he goes on to work. I fall asleep with tears coming down my eyes. I cry myself to sleep, and he calls me eventually, and he says, "I'm sorry." And this is the day that we were supposed to go to. This is the day before we was going to go to the pastor to get married. And he was like, "I'm so sorry." He was like, "I'm just aggravated at work, and I didn't mean to take it out on you." And he's like, "I'm working on it. I'm working on it, and I'm going to work on it."
All right, so her story did not end there, but me just stop it right there because, as you know, this is just a recap. All right, so if you liked what you heard so far and you found it interesting and you want to hear the rest of it, click the link in the description. It will take you over to Unstoppable Live, which is the main channel where you can listen to everything that was shared in its entirety. And when you go over there, leave a comment. Let me know that you came over from the recap channel so I can big you up. And also hit that subscribe button over there as well. And click the subscribe button right here on this channel so that you never ever miss another recap, just in case you miss the live show. Alright, we go live Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays on Unstoppable Live, so make sure you subscribe over there that you can actually participate in the live shows while we are live. Alright, until the next recap, stay strong, stay motivated, stay powerful, but most of all, stay unstoppable.
Unstoppable.